close your eyes if you haven't already. Let your body sink a little deeper into whatever holds you right now. The mattress, the pillow, the quiet darkness that surrounds you. There is nothing you need to do in this moment. Nothing you need to become. Nothing you need to prove. The day has passed. Whatever you carried through it, the conversations, the decisions, the small victories and defeats, all of it can rest now. You can set it down like a heavy bag you've been carrying for miles. Just for now, just for this hour, let it rest beside you while you turn your attention inward to the simple fact of your breathing, the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Tonight, we're going to explore something together, not with urgency, not with the need to arrive anywhere, but slowly, the way you might walk through a quiet garden at dusk, noticing things without grasping at them. We're going to ask a question that might feel strange at first, perhaps even uncomfortable. But I invite you to hold it lightly, the way you might hold a smooth stone in your palm, feeling its weight without needing to understand where it came from. The question is this: what if life doesn't need a meaning? Not, what if life has no meaning, which sounds harsh, empty, nihilistic. But rather, what if meaning isn't something life requires? What if meaning isn't a debt you owe, a test you must pass, a treasure you must hunt for in order to justify your existence? What if life is simply here, the way a river is here, flowing without asking permission, without needing to explain itself to anyone? You don't need to answer this question tonight. You don't need to figure anything out. We're simply going to let this idea sit with us for a while, the way you might sit beside someone in comfortable silence, watching the light change across a landscape. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts begin to soften at their edges. We have time. We have all the time we need. You've probably felt it before, that quiet pressure that lives somewhere in your chest or the back of your mind. The feeling that you should be doing something more significant, that your days should add up to something larger, that there should be a reason for all of this. The waking up, the working, the trying, the hoping, the inevitable disappointments and small joys that make up a human life. We live in a world that constantly asks us, what's your purpose? What's your passion? What's your 5-year plan? What legacy will you leave? Who are you meant to be? These aren't bad questions, necessarily, but they can become heavy. They can transform life into a perpetual examination, where every choice is evaluated, every day judged against some invisible standard? Did you do enough today? Are you living meaningfully? Are you wasting your potential? Are you behind where you should be? The mind becomes a courtroom where you are both the defendant and the judge, constantly weighing your worth, your progress, your meaning. This pressure didn't always exist in quite this way. For most of human history, meaning was inherited, not invented. You were born into a role, a community, a set of beliefs that told you what mattered and why. The farmer farmed because farmers farm. The shepherd tended sheep because that's what shepherds do. Meaning was woven into the fabric of daily life, unquestioned, like the seasons. But modernity changed something fundamental. It gave us extraordinary freedom, the freedom to choose our own paths, to question everything, to become anything we imagine. And with that freedom came a burden, the burden of choice, the burden of self-creation, the burden of meaning-making. The existentialists understood this deeply. Sartre spoke of humans being condemned to be free. Free to choose, yes, but also responsible for those choices, responsible for constructing our own essence, our own purpose. There is no cosmic script telling us what to do, no divine plan we can simply follow. We must author our own lives, and that authorship can feel overwhelming. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of concentration camps, believed that the search for meaning was humanity's primary drive. Even in the most brutal circumstances, he wrote, humans need meaning to survive. Meaning, he suggested, is what separates mere existence from truly living. And yet, in his emphasis on meaning as essential, there's an implication that without it, life might not be worth living. That we must find meaning or face despair. Camus approached this differently. He looked at the absurdity of existence, the disconnect between our human need for meaning and the universe's apparent indifference to that need, and didn't flinch. He didn't say we must create meaning to survive. He said we must imagine Sisyphus happy, pushing his boulder up the mountain for eternity, not because it means something grand, but because the struggle itself can be enough. But tonight, let's go even further. Let's not struggle at all. Let's not push any boulders. Let's simply rest in a possibility that rarely gets voiced in our achievement-obsessed culture. What if you don't need to find meaning? What if you don't need to construct it, defend it, or prove it? What if the very framework of the question, what is the meaning of my life, is optional? Your mind might resist this. It might say, but without meaning, what's the point? Without purpose, why get out of bed? Why do anything? Notice that resistance. Notice how the mind reaches for purpose, like a hand reaches for a railing in the dark. We've been trained to believe that meaning is the fuel that powers a human life. Remove it, and everything collapses. But is that true? Or is that just a story we've been told so many times that it feels like truth? Let your body relax a little more. Feel the weight of your limbs. Feel how your body doesn't ask these questions. Your heart beats without needing a reason. Your lungs breathe without requiring philosophical justification. Your body simply lives, moment by moment, breath by breath. Maybe there's wisdom in that. There's a teaching in Zen Buddhism that goes something like this. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The tasks remain the same. The days look similar, but something fundamental has shifted in the relationship to those tasks. The need for them to mean something beyond themselves has fallen away. Alan Watts, who spent much of his life translating Eastern philosophy for Western minds, often spoke about how we've misunderstood what life is. We treat life as a problem to be solved, he said. We treat it like a journey with a destination. If we could just get there, if we could just figure it out, then we'd finally be okay. But life isn't a problem, and it isn't a journey to some distant destination. Life, Watts suggested, is more like music. You don't listen to a symphony in order to reach the final note. The point isn't to get to the end as quickly as possible. The point is the listening itself, the experience of each moment as it unfolds. What if life is the same way? What if the point of life is not to arrive at some grand meaning, but simply to experience the living of it? In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." The river doesn't rush toward the ocean in order to give its journey meaning. The tree doesn't grow toward the sky because it has decided that upward growth is purposeful. Things simply unfold according to their nature. They exist without existential crisis. Of course, you might think, but humans are different. We're self-aware. We can't just exist like a river or a tree. And that's true. But maybe that self-awareness doesn't have to become a burden. Maybe consciousness doesn't require us to constantly justify our existence. Maybe awareness can be light instead of heavy. What if meaning is something that arises naturally, sometimes, in certain moments, but isn't required for life to be valid? Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive. Perhaps it was watching sunlight move across a wall. Perhaps it was laughing with a friend about something absurd. Perhaps it was the taste of something delicious, or the feeling of cold water on a hot day, or the comfort of crawling into bed after a long day. In those moments, were you thinking about meaning? Were you asking yourself whether this experience justified your existence? Or were you simply there, present, experiencing without questioning? Those moments didn't need meaning. They were already complete. They were enough, just as they were. What if all moments could be like that? The Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, teaches something called aimlessness. Not purposelessness, not nihilism, but aimlessness. The practice of being present without grasping for goals, without running toward some future achievement that will finally make you acceptable to yourself. Aimlessness doesn't mean you can't have goals or make plans. It means those things don't carry the weight of your existential worth. You can build a career, create art, raise children, serve your community, not because these things give your life meaning, but because they're what naturally emerges from who you are in this moment. Without the pressure of meaning-making, action becomes lighter. Life becomes more playful. You can engage with the world without the constant internal narration. Is this meaningful enough? Am I doing enough? Does this count? Let yourself imagine that for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow without the question, "What's the point?" hovering in the background. Without the need to make your day add up to something significant. Just the day itself. Just the living of it. How does that feel in your body right now? Does something relax? Does some tightness you didn't know you were carrying begin to soften? Breathe into that softness. Let it spread through your chest, your shoulders, your jaw. You don't need to solve anything tonight. You don't need to arrive at any grand conclusion. You can simply be here, breathing, existing, without that existence needing to mean anything beyond itself. Let's walk through something together, not as a goal, not as something you need to achieve, but as a gentle exploration, a thought experiment that requires nothing of you except a willingness to imagine. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. The light comes through your window the way it always does. You open your eyes, but something is different. The familiar pressure isn't there. That background hum of, what should I be doing? What should I be becoming? Am I wasting my life? It's gone. Not because you've found some grand answer, but because the question itself has been released. You get out of bed, not because you're driven toward some goal, but simply because your body is ready to move. You feel the floor beneath your feet, cool, solid, real. You don't think about whether this moment is meaningful. You're just in it. You make coffee or tea. You watch the water boil or the coffee drip. Usually, your mind would be racing ahead to the day's tasks, the emails, the obligations, the ways you need to prove your worth. But right now, in this imagined morning, you're just watching the water, the steam rising, the way the light catches it. This doesn't feel empty or depressing. It feels light, spacious, like a weight you didn't know you were carrying has been gently removed. You go through your day. Maybe you work. Maybe you don't. Maybe you accomplish things. Maybe you don't. But there's no internal judge following you around, tallying up whether today was meaningful enough, whether you did enough, whether you're enough. Someone asks you what you do, and instead of feeling that familiar urge to package yourself into an impressive identity, you just answer simply, and it's enough. You don't need to make yourself sound more important than you are. You don't need to justify your existence through your job title or your achievements or your potential. You talk to a friend. The conversation doesn't need to be profound. It doesn't need to deepen your soul or teach you something significant. It's just a conversation. Two humans talking, sharing the strangeness of being alive. And somehow, that's perfect. You eat lunch. You don't rush through it while thinking about the next thing you taste it. You feel it. You notice that eating, this simple act of nourishing your body, doesn't require any meaning beyond itself. It's just eating. And eating is enough. The afternoon passes. Maybe it's productive. Maybe it's lazy. Maybe it's a mix of both. But you're not scoring yourself. You're not measuring your worth by your output. You're just moving through time the way a cloud moves across the sky, without effort, without self-consciousness, without needing to prove anything. Evening comes. You're tired, the way bodies get tired. But it's not the exhausted weariness of feeling like you didn't do enough. It's just tiredness. Natural, simple tiredness that comes from being alive in a body that moves and thinks and feels. You prepare for bed. You lie down, and as you close your eyes, there's no harsh review of the day, no mental checklist of ways you fell short, no anxiety about whether your life is adding up to something significant. There's just the quiet, just the darkness, just your breathing. And in that imagined moment, you realize something. You've been okay all along. Not because you finally found meaning, not because you achieved anything, but because being alive, just existing, was already enough. The pressure to mean something was optional all along. You just didn't know you could set it down. How does this feel, imagining it? Does something in your chest relax? Does your breathing deepen? You don't need to actually live this way tomorrow. We're just exploring, just noticing what happens in your body and mind when the demand for meaning is temporarily suspended. Notice if there's relief. Notice if there's fear. Notice if there's a small voice saying, "But I need meaning. I need purpose." You can have those things if you want them. This isn't about taking anything away. It's about recognizing that meaning is something you can choose, not something you must find to survive. Like clothing, you can wear beautiful, meaningful clothes, but you were already complete before you put them on. The clothes don't make you real. They're just something you can choose to add. Meaning is like that. Optional, available, but not required for you to be valid. Let that settle in your body. Feel where you're touching the bed. Feel the weight of your head on the pillow. Feel how you don't need to be anything other than exactly this: a body, breathing, resting, existing. Just this. And just this is enough. Let's go a little deeper now, but slowly. We're not in a hurry. There's nowhere to arrive. We're just letting ideas wash over us like gentle waves, each one arriving and then receding, making space for the next. The absurdists, Camus especially, looked directly at what they called the absurd. The absurd is the collision between two things: humanity's deep desire for meaning, order, and understanding, and the universe's apparent silence on these matters. We want the cosmos to make sense. We want our lives to fit into some grand scheme. But the universe doesn't seem to care about our narrative desires. Most philosophical traditions saw this as a problem to be solved. Religion solved it by asserting cosmic meaning. God has a plan, and you're part of it. Traditional philosophy solved it by constructing elaborate logical systems that gave existence purpose and structure. But Camus said, what if we don't solve it? What if we just acknowledge it? Yes, life is absurd. Yes, there's no inherent meaning. Yes, we're tiny creatures on a small planet, spinning through an indifferent universe. And so what? Instead of despair, Camus suggested a kind of defiant joy. We can create, love, experience, engage with life fully, not because it means something in some cosmic ledger, but simply because we're here and we're alive. And that's what living things do. The image of Sisyphus pushing his boulder up the mountain, only to watch it roll back down eternally. This is usually presented as the ultimate meaningless punishment. But Camus asks us to imagine Sisyphus happy, not because he's found meaning in the task, but because he's made peace with the absurdity. He owns his boulder. He owns his fate. And in that ownership, there's a kind of freedom. You don't have to push a boulder, of course, but you might have your own repetitive tasks, your own cycles. Wake, work, eat, sleep. Again, again, again. Is this meaningful? Maybe, maybe not. But either way, you're doing it. You're here. And there's a certain peace in accepting that without needing it to be cosmically significant. Let that sit with you for a moment. Feel your breath in and out. Repetitive, like Sisyphus's boulder, but also sustaining. Also, life itself. The existentialists approached this from a different angle. Sartre, Beauvoir, and others emphasized radical freedom. You are not predetermined. There's no essential you that you need to discover or fulfill. Instead, you create yourself through your choices, moment by moment. This can feel empowering. You are the author of your life, but it can also feel terrifying. Because if you're the author, then everything is your responsibility. Every choice matters. Every action or inaction defines you. The weight of that can be crushing. But here's what often gets lost. Sartre also said that this freedom means nothing is inherently meaningful. Meaning is what you assign, not what you discover. And if meaning is something you assign, then you can also choose not to. You can choose to exist without constantly authoring a meaningful narrative about your existence. You can just be free. Not free to create meaning, but free from needing to. The Stoics took yet another approach. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. These philosophers weren't particularly concerned with cosmic meaning. They were concerned with living well in the present moment, accepting what is, and focusing on what they could control. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire, wrote in his private journals, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Not as a morbid thought, but as a clarifying one. What matters if this moment is all you have? Not some grand legacy, not some ultimate purpose, just this moment. How you treat the person in front of you. How you respond to difficulty. How present you are with what is, rather than what should be. The Stoics practiced a kind of cosmic perspective. Imagine the vastness of the universe, the billions of years before you were born, the billions after you die. In that context, your individual life is a brief flash. Does that make it meaningless? Perhaps. Or perhaps it frees you from the burden of needing your life to be monumentally significant. You can be small, and brief and still complete, like a candle flame. It burns for a while, then goes out. We don't say the flame was meaningless because it didn't last forever. It was simply a flame doing what flames do for as long as it lasted. Buddhism offers something different still. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment to desires, to outcomes, to fixed ideas about how things should be, including attachment to needing life to mean something specific. In Buddhism, meaning isn't something you find or create. It's something that arises naturally in each moment when you're fully present. When you're not grasping, not pushing away, not lost in stories about yourself and your purpose, then life reveals itself as already meaningful, or beyond meaning, or both at once. There's a Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The tasks don't change, but the relationship to them transforms. They no longer need to be stepping stones to somewhere else. They're complete in themselves. Your life is already complete. Each moment already whole. You don't need to add meaning to make them valid. They already are. Let yourself feel that you don't need to believe it intellectually. Just feel into the possibility. What if this moment, right now, you breathing in this darkness, is already complete, already enough? Not because you've achieved anything, not because you've discovered some secret, but simply because this moment exists, and you exist in it. And that existence doesn't require justification. Feel your body. Heavy, tired, perhaps. But here, present, real. Your body doesn't ask, "What does this mean?" It just breathes. It just rests. It just is. Maybe that's the deepest wisdom. Not something you need to understand, but something you can simply embody. Be like your body. Just here. Just breathing. Just being. Nothing more required. There's a particular kind of peace that comes not from solving something, but from accepting it. Not resignation. Resignation has a quality of defeat, of giving up. But acceptance is different. Acceptance is clear-eyed. It sees what is and doesn't demand that it be otherwise. You can accept that life is uncertain, that you don't know what happens after death, that you might never figure out your true calling, that your impact on the world might be small or completely invisible, that most of what you worry about achieving or becoming might not matter in any grand sense. You can accept all of that without it being tragic, because acceptance creates space. When you stop fighting with reality, when you stop demanding that life make sense in the way you want it to, something relaxes. The constant tension of "it should be different" dissolves. And what remains is simply what is. And what is can be enough. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from understanding the difference between what you can control and what you can't. You can't control whether your life has cosmic significance. You can't control whether future generations will remember you. You can't control whether you discover some grand purpose that makes all your suffering worthwhile. But you can control how you meet this moment. You can control your attention. You can control whether you're kind to yourself right now. Whether you judge this day as wasted or simply accept it as the day it was. That's not a small thing. That's actually everything, because you only ever live in this moment. The past is memory. The future is imagination. This moment, right now, is the only moment that exists. And in this moment, you have the freedom to accept what is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" He wasn't saying that everything happens for a reason in some mystical sense. He was saying that what happens, happens. It's real. It's here. You can fight against it, or you can work with it. Acceptance doesn't mean you don't try to change things. It means you don't add the extra layer of suffering that comes from demanding reality be different than it is. You can accept that you don't have all the answers, that you might be confused about what you want, who you are, what matters. That's okay. Confusion isn't a flaw. It's just confusion. It will shift and change, like everything else. You can accept that some days feel meaningless, that some periods of your life might feel like you're just going through the motions. That's not evidence that you're doing life wrong. That's just what being human sometimes feels like. You can accept that meaning might come and go, that something that felt deeply significant yesterday might feel empty today. That's the nature of meaning. It's not a fixed property of things, but a relationship between you and your experience. And relationships shift. Most importantly, you can accept that you are not behind. This is, perhaps, the hardest acceptance, because we're all haunted by the feeling that we should be further along somehow, more accomplished, more enlightened, more certain, more something. But behind what? Behind whom? Behind some imaginary timeline that doesn't actually exist? You are exactly where you are. That's not a position you've failed into. It's just where the path has led so far, and the path will keep leading, whether you judge it or accept it. Acceptance just makes the journey lighter. Think about breathing for a moment. Feel your breath right now. Your body has been breathing since the moment you were born, without you needing to figure out how to do it meaningfully. Your body doesn't breathe on purpose. It just breathes. Can you live that way? Not on purpose, not for a reason, but just living because you're alive? Just experiencing because you're a being that experiences? It's not that you can't have purposes or reasons. You can. You can have projects and goals and dreams, but they can be lighter. They can be chosen rather than desperately grasped at. They can be enjoyed for what they are rather than burdened with the weight of justifying your existence. When you accept that your existence doesn't need justification, everything becomes simpler. The question, "Am I doing enough?" loses its power. The fear that you're wasting your life becomes just a thought, not a truth. The anxiety about legacy and impact and meaning becomes background noise that you can acknowledge without obeying. And in that acceptance, there's a profound peace. Not the peace of having figured everything out, but the peace of no longer needing to. You can rest right now, in this moment, not because you've earned rest by being meaningful enough, but because you're tired, and rest is what tired bodies do. Let yourself accept that. Let yourself sink a little deeper into the bed. Feel the support beneath you. Feel how you don't have to hold yourself up, how you can let go, how the world will keep turning while you rest. You don't need to be anything right now. You don't need to mean anything. You can just be this, a body breathing in darkness, gradually releasing into sleep. That's acceptance. That's peace. That's enough. There's something interesting that happens when you stop demanding that life have grand meaning. Small meanings begin to emerge, unforced, natural, like wildflowers that grow without being planted. These small meanings don't announce themselves dramatically. They don't solve the existential question of what your life is for. They're just moments of resonance, brief feelings of rightness, tiny experiences of being exactly where you are, without wanting to be anywhere else. The warmth of sun on your face when you step outside. That's a small meaning. It doesn't symbolize anything. It doesn't represent some larger truth. It's just warmth, and it feels good. And for a moment, you're simply a body experiencing sunlight. Complete. The satisfaction of drinking water when you're thirsty, the small pleasure of it, the way your body responds, cellular, immediate, without needing any philosophical framework. Just thirsty, then water, then satisfied. This simple feedback loop is meaning enough in that moment. The way a friend laughs at something you said, not a polite laugh, but a real one, surprised out of them. In that moment, there's connection. Not cosmic connection, not soulmate level profundity, just two humans sharing something funny. And that sharing is its own small meaning. It doesn't need to be more than it is. Lying in bed at night, feeling your body finally still after a day of movement. The relief of horizontal. The way your muscles slowly unknot. The simple animal comfort of a safe place to rest. This is meaning, not as a concept, but as to direct experience. The taste of something you love eating. Really tasting it, not just consuming it while your mind is elsewhere. The complexity of flavor, the texture, the way food becomes part of you. Literally, rebuilding your cells. This ordinary miracle requires no special significance to be significant. These small meanings don't accumulate into a grand narrative. They don't build toward some ultimate purpose. They're complete in themselves, like drops of water that reflect the whole sky for just a moment before falling into the ocean. Maybe life is more like this than we usually acknowledge. Not one big meaning that justifies everything, but thousands of small meanings that don't need to justify anything. They just are. Your breath right now is a small meaning. You probably weren't thinking about it until this moment, but it's been there all along. This quiet rhythm that keeps you alive. Is breathing meaningful? In the grand cosmic sense? Maybe not. In the immediate sense of being the difference between alive and not alive? Absolutely. But it doesn't demand that you acknowledge its importance. It just keeps happening, sustaining you, asking nothing in return. The weight of your head on your pillow, this small sensation, this tiny point of contact between you and the world. It's nothing, really, insignificant in any big picture, and yet, right now, in your direct experience, it's one of the only things that's real. This pressure, this support, this small meaning. Maybe wisdom isn't about finding the one big answer. Maybe it's about becoming attentive to these small answers that are always already here. Not answers to big questions, but small affirmations. Yes, this moment exists. Yes, you are in it. Yes, this is enough. The sound of rain, if it's raining where you are, or the silence, if it's silent. Either way, whatever is here is complete. It doesn't need you to make it meaningful. It's already itself, fully, without apology or explanation. This is something children understand intuitively before we teach them to ask, "What's the point?" A child can spend an hour watching ants carry crumbs, not because it means something, not because they're learning an important life lesson, but because ants carrying crumbs is fascinating if you actually look at it. The tiny drama of it, the mystery of insect purpose and cooperation, the way they solve problems without knowing they're solving problems. Then we grow up and forget how to be fascinated without needing the fascination to lead somewhere. We forget how to be interested in things just because they're interesting. We turn everything into a tool for self-improvement or a symbol for something else. But you can return to that simpler way of being, where things matter because they're right in front of you, not because they fit into some grand scheme. The texture of the sheets against your skin. Notice that for a moment. Soft or rough or whatever they are. Temperature, cool or warm, or somewhere between. This is a small meaning. Your body is in contact with the material world. Nerve endings sending signals. The brain interprets. Touch. Comfort, rest. This doesn't need to be more profound than it is. This small thing can be enough. And maybe, just maybe, a life made up entirely of small meanings like this. Breath, touch, taste, sound, warmth, connection, rest. Maybe that's not a lesser life than one organized around grand purpose. Maybe it's just a different way of being. Gentler, more honest, more human. You don't have to choose. Small meanings and big meanings can coexist. But tonight, here in this darkness, let the small ones be enough. Let them be all you need. The beating of your heart. You can feel it if you pay attention. There, beneath your awareness, keeping time. 4 billion beats in an average lifetime. Each one a small meaning. Each one saying, alive, alive, alive. Not for any reason, not toward any goal, just alive, beating here. And that's beautiful in a way that doesn't need words or philosophy or justification. It's just beautiful, small, quiet, enough. Let's slow down even more now. We're going to let the ideas fade into the background and just rest in simple images, simple feelings, simple being. Imagine you're lying beside a quiet lake. It's dusk, that time when the light softens and blurs, when day hasn't quite become night, but the transition is happening slowly, naturally, inevitably. The water is very still, so still, It reflects the sky perfectly, like a mirror. You can't tell where the sky ends and the water begins. It's all one seamless surface. You're lying on soft grass near the shore. The earth beneath you is cool and solid, supporting you completely. You don't have to hold yourself up. Gravity does that for you. The planet holds you. You can let go. You can trust this support. The air is perfectly comfortable. Not too warm, not too cool. Just right. Just enough. You don't have to do anything to make yourself comfortable. You already are. In the distance, maybe there are mountains, dark shapes against a darkening sky. They've been there for millennia. They'll be there for millennia more. They don't rush. They don't worry about meaning. They just are, massive and patient and still. You can borrow their stillness, their patience, their way of being that requires no effort. The sky is changing colors, deep blue bleeding into purple, into that particular darkness that's not quite black yet. A few early stars are beginning to appear, pinpricks of light in the vast darkness. They don't try to illuminate everything. They just shine. Each one, small and distant and perfect. You don't need to keep your eyes open anymore. Not even in this imagination. You can close them. Let the image fade. Let the lake and the mountains and the stars all dissolve into the comfortable darkness behind your eyelids. All that remains is sensation, the rise and fall of your breath, slow, easy, natural. Your body knows how to breathe. You don't have to think about it. You can just let it happen. In and out. In and out. Like waves on that imaginary shore. Rhythmic, peaceful, endless. You don't have to figure anything out right now. Whatever questions you brought to this moment, you can set them down. They'll be there tomorrow if you need them. But right now, you don't need them. Right now, all you need is this: breathing, resting, releasing. Feel your body becoming heavier. Each exhale making you sink a little deeper into the bed. The mattress conforming to your shape, holding you, supporting every part of you that needs support. Your head, your shoulders, your back, your legs. All held, all supported, all safe. You are safe here. In this darkness, in this quiet. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing requires your immediate attention. You have permission to rest. Full permission. Complete permission. Your mind might still be moving a little, thoughts drifting by like clouds. That's okay. You don't have to stop them. You don't have to grab onto them. Just let them drift. They'll pass on their own, the way clouds always do. If you don't hold them in place, each thought that comes, you can just notice it. Ah, a thought. And then let it keep moving, like watching leaves float down a stream. You don't have to follow them. You can stay here on the bank, watching them go by. And gradually, even the watching becomes softer, more distant. The space between thoughts grows longer, wider, emptier, empty in a good way, spacious, quiet, peaceful. Your breath continues. You don't have to do anything about it. It's happening on its own. Your body knows how to rest. Your body knows how to sleep. You can trust it. You can surrender to it. Imagine that with each exhale, you're releasing something. Not anything specific, just releasing. Letting go of whatever you've been holding. The effort of the day, the questions, the concerns, the need to be anything other than this body, breathing, resting, here. Release, release, release. And with each inhale, you're not taking anything in except what you need. Just air, just oxygen, just life, simple and uncomplicated. Breath in, breath out. Nothing more required. The darkness around you is soft, gentle. It's not empty darkness. It's full darkness, full of rest, full of peace, full of the kind of quiet that only exists when the day has ended and the night has settled in, and everything is exactly as it should be. You don't need to mean anything right now. You don't need to be anything. You don't need to do anything. You can just rest. Just rest. Just rest. Your body is so heavy now, so comfortable. The pillow soft beneath your head, the blankets warm around you. Everything exactly right. Everything exactly enough. Sleep is close now. You can feel it at the edges. That soft blurring where awareness begins to fade. You don't have to reach for it. You don't have to try to make it happen. It will come on its own, the way it always does, when you stop trying and simply allow. 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 Each breath taking you deeper, deeper into rest, deeper into darkness, deeper into the simple peace of a body that has stopped doing and started being, stopped trying and started trusting, stopped questioning and started resting. Rest. 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 You are exactly where you need to be, exactly who you need to be, exactly enough in every way. Nothing is required of you now, except this: breathing, resting, releasing into sleep. Let go, let go, let go. The lake is so still now. The sky is so dark. The stars are so distant and perfect and complete unto themselves. And you are just like them, complete, perfect in your imperfection, here real, alive, resting. Let sleep come. Let it take you gently. Let it carry you into dreams or into the deep quiet beyond dreams. You are safe. You are held. You are enough. Rest now. Rest deeply. Rest completely. Everything is okay. Everything has always been okay. Everything will continue to be okay. You can rest. You can sleep. You can let go. Breathing. Just breathing. The question we started with seems so far away now. What if life doesn't need a meaning? It's not even a question anymore. Just words floating somewhere in the distance. And maybe the answer was here all along. In this softness, in this darkness, in this simple act of being alive and breathing and resting. Maybe you don't need to solve your life tonight. Maybe you don't need to figure anything out. Maybe the only thing you ever need to do is exactly what you're doing right now. Being here, being yourself, being at peace. The philosophers and teachers we talked about, they were all pointing toward something simple, something that can't quite be captured in words, something more like silence than speech, more like breathing than thinking, more like this than anything that can be explained. You've been enough all along. Not because you achieved something or discovered something or became something, but just because you are. Being is enough. Existing is enough. This moment is enough. And this moment, and this moment, and this moment. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to become. You are already here, already home, already complete. Rest in that. Rest in this. Rest. The night will hold you. The darkness will keep you safe. Your body knows what to do. Let go. Let go. Let go. Meaning or no meaning. Purpose or no purpose. It doesn't matter now. What matters is this breath, and this rest, and this peace. You don't have to figure it out. You can just sleep just sleep. Just drift into the soft embrace of sleep. And in the morning, if you remember this, you might smile, because for a little while, you stopped asking, you stopped searching, you stopped trying, and you just were. And it was enough, more than enough. It was everything. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep well. You are held. You are safe. You are home. Rest. Rest. Rest.